And what else did Lady Forsythia say?
That she'd rather drown herself than help the Inquisition.
Anything else?
She said she'd have us flogged alive if we allied with her brother.
That does sound like her.
Cheer up, Josie. We at least have her attention.
You always do find the brighter side of things. We are in the midst of cementing an alliance with Lady Forsythia of Navarra, your worship. It's become a somewhat delicate task.
She'll have us flogged alive.
I believe she meant flayed alive. Her ladyship tends to confuse metaphors when she's excitable. I dissuaded her from sending soldiers when she learned we'd struck an accord with a brother she's feuding with. Lady Forsythia simply employs a colorful manner of speech.
Dealing with so many demanding, strong-willed people can't be easy.
It's no less intense than my days at court, Inquisitor, I assure you. But I confess I do miss my staff from the embassy in Antiva. It was always useful to discuss the day's visitors with them.
I have time if you'd like to review things with me.
I wouldn't wish to impose.
If it were imposing, I wouldn't have offered.
Well, I admit there are a few potential alliances it would be good to discuss. Right on the parlor floor, in front of everyone at the soiree. Who does such a thing in front of their guests?
The Duke of Kellington, apparently.
And then there's Cole's lurking. It frightens our guests half to death. Lord Gennard still won't respond to our letters. And Sarah, can she not find a single overshirt without mustard stains on it? Then there's Dorian. The man refuses to take anything seriously unless it suits its whim. Not to mention... Oh goodness. Have we been here an hour already?
Is relaxing really this difficult for you?
Of course not. Well, occasionally. I didn't intend to go on for so long. You must think me quite the gossip.
No one else here has your experience, Josephine. Or your stories.
I'll try to curtail their length next time. But I leave feeling less troubled than I have in weeks. Inquisitor, I must speak with you.
What is it?
I must explain something first about the Montillier's fortunes.
I remember you said your family had been forbidden from trading in Orlais.
It's devastated our finances. The Montillier's have, in fact, been in debt for over 100 years.
I had no idea your family's situation was so precarious.
Hardly anyone outside the family does. For generations, we've done everything to keep creditors at bay. Sold our lands to stave off interest. It's just... it is infuriating to see my family still reduced to this. I'm to become head of our house. If I sell any more of our land, my family will become destitute. That cannot be my legacy to them.
Is there anything I can do?
I'd almost solved our problems. For a while. I negotiated a chance to reinstate the Montillier's as landed traders in Orlais. We could rebuild with that. But when I dispatched paperwork to Val Royeaux... I've just learned my carriers were murdered. And the documents restoring my family's trading status destroyed.
Who hates the Montillier's enough to do that?
Leliana made inquiries that bore success. Comte Boisvert, a nobleman in Val Royeaux, claims to know who killed my messengers. He has a request that you come when I meet him, so he's seen publicly conferring with you.
What will being seen with me gain the Comte?
The Comte will drop hints at parties he's to meet with an important visitor. Allies and rivals will take note. Once he's met you, there will be speculation. The Count will subtly spin reports to his advantage. He will use us. But if he knows who killed my people, I ask that we indulge him.
I hope the Comte isn't making up information just to be seen with me.
I will take full responsibility if that's the case, Inquisitor. I must know who killed my couriers just to harm my family.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you for seeing us, Comte Boisvert.
The honor is mine. Please, sit. It's an honor to assist two such distinguished guests.
We appreciate your help, Comte.
The death of Lady Montily's servants must weigh heavily on you. Have you heard of the House of Repose?
The Assassin's League?
My contacts obtained a copy of a document in the archives. Contract for a life.
The House of Repose is hereby sworn to eliminate anyone attempting to overturn the Montiliers' trading exile in Orlais.
Who's sending these assassins?
The contract was signed by a noble family. The Du Paraquets.
But the Du Paraquets died out as a noble line over 60 years ago.
Indeed. But the contract was signed 109 years ago.
How can a family try to kill you after they died out?
The Du Paraquets were our rivals. They drove the Montiliers from Val Royeaux. This contract was drawn up over 100 years ago, but it wasn't invoked until I tried to overturn my family's exile.
Unpleasant though it may be, the House of Repose is merely fulfilling its contractual duties.
If the people who wanted your family dead are gone, why are the assassins still after you?
A contract is a contract, Inquisitor. Orlesian businesses live and die by their reputations. The entire guild's welfare would be endangered if an agreement was tossed aside on a whim of time or fate.
She's quite right, Your Worship. The House of Repose is doing what it feels necessary, by its standards.
I assume you have a thought or two on this, Josephine?
The Du Paraquets still have descendants under the common branch. If we elevate them to nobility, a Du Paraquet could annul the contract on my life.
That will take time, Lady Montigny. Time during which the House of Repose will be obliged to hunt you.
Will they now? You are exceedingly well informed. You're not to have said you'd heard rumors, at best.
A bit of subterfuge. This contract on your life is an ugly business. One the House of Repose deeply regrets. But this is Orlais. Even an assassin's word is his bond.
The House of Repose has some nerve sending a killer to greet us.
Hardly anyone in the League isn't trained for this, Inquisitor. The contract on Lady Montily's life is so unusual, we felt the courtesy of an explanation was in order.
It is appreciated, monsieur.
Your idea to seek out the Du Paraquet to revoke our orders is an interesting one. I wish you luck. I did not come to shed blood today, Inquisitor. Only to speak. Might I pass?
Why warn us about your contract and let us go?
In Orlais, it is only decent to inform those involved in a contract when extraordinary circumstances conspire.
And the guild's reputation would suffer if you ignored the contract. I quite understand.
Thank you, my lady. May we conclude with my departure?
Go then.
Good day, Your Worship. My lady, I pray we never meet again.
Well, I didn't think our meeting would end like this.
We'll deal with these assassins.
I have some thoughts. Let's discuss them back at Skyhold. I'll feel safer with the castle's walls around me. I'm so sorry, Inquisitor. I never thought my family's trading status would trap us in an assassin's plot.
You couldn't have known it would lead to this House of Repose coming after you.
It still shouldn't have slipped past me. I've tracked down the last Du Paraquets. If they become gentry, they can annul the contract on my life. We'll require a noble from Val Royeaux to sponsor them, a judge to provide documents, a minister to ratify them.
It's so like you to take the longest course of action, even when your life is at stake.
I assume you already know everything about this mess.
There is a faster way, Josephine. The original contract on your life is in the vaults of the House of Repose. If my agents infiltrate it and destroy the original, the assassin will have no obligation to chase you.
Leliana, please. I want no more bloodshed over a personal affair.
Don't be so stubborn, Josie. How long will it take you to gather these favors in Val Royeaux?
If destroying the original contract will satisfy the Guild, I say we do it.
But I'm sure my plan will work, Inquisitor.
Whatever happens, I'll assign you more guards. The House of Repose won't be idle long.
I appreciate it, but I still believe elevating the Du Paraquets will solve this. First, we need to perform some favors in Val Royeaux. I'd be happy to discuss where we could begin.
I read Leliana's report. Her people infiltrated the League of Assassins targeting you. The contract on your life has been destroyed. You should be safe now.
And thus we outwit the House of Repose.
It's an unpleasant business, but you're safe now.
I've no doubt that the Guild was staffed by vicious men and women, Inquisitor. It's simply... Did I ever mention I used to be a bard?
You were a singer?
Bards entertain the Orlesian court. They sing, play music, make charming conversation, and spy. Many young nobles put on a mask and practice playing the game in such a fashion.
What made you interested in becoming a bard?
I was attending a university in Val Royeaux when I learned about bards. There was such an air of romance about them. Stories of secrets, trysts, and fascinating people. A group of us, young gentry from Antiva, decided this exciting life was for us.
I don't imagine many firstborn heirs join those ranks.
No, I was a rather foolish exception. During one particular intrigue, I encountered a bard sent to kill my patron. We fought. Or perhaps scrapped is the better word. Both of us terrified. We were at the top of a steep flight of stairs. The other bard drew a knife, and I pushed him away from me. You can imagine the result.
You were only defending yourself.
But it was such a waste, Inquisitor. When I took off his mask, I knew him. We'd attended parties together. If I'd stopped to reason, if I'd used my voice instead of scuffling like a common thug, I'll always wonder who that young man would have grown into.
From bard to diplomat is quite a change in direction.
I was headed down that path for some time already. That night merely crystallized it. In all the commotion... forgive me, I don't believe I ever thanked you for helping me with this.
You were taking on a league of professional assassins. I suppose I'll forgive it.
You've done much to help House Montilier. And should you ever visit Antiva, stories of the welcome we'll give you will be told for years.